decision.
This idea that somehow there are UI designers that are different than UX designers, that's complete crap. There's no difference. It's what level you're working at. Every resolution has a different set of problems, and every resolution demands a different set of solutions.
How all of the different roles in software development can work together, what's the place of a business analyst, and how can we coordinate these different perspectives and people working together to deliver customer value.
จะวัดแล้วว่าเราไปสู่ระดับโลกได้ไหมคนกลุ่มนี้บอกว่าเราไปได้เป้าหมายของเราเพื่อคนไทยเราพาอีเวนต์ระดับโลกมาให้คนไทยผมรู้สึกว่าเราachieveเป้านั้นดูจากสิ่งที่ทุกคนตอบรับมา
จริงๆเราอยากจะช่วยให้คนไทยที่จริงๆเขาไม่ได้มีเข้าถึงธนาคารทำให้เขาไม่มีโอกาสในการใช้เทคโนโลยีหรือว่าดิจิทัลหรือแอปพลิเคชันที่ง่ายๆหรือที่ดีๆเพราะนั้นเราคิดว่าจริงๆแล้ว UX เนี่ยสำคัญกับเรามากเพราะว่าเราอยากจะบริงให้เขาเนี่ยมีชีวิตหรือว่าสามารถเข้าถึงการเงินเนี่ยเหมือนกับคนอื่น
ก็รู้สึกค่อนข้างตื่นเต้นที่เห็นงานได้ใหญ่ขึ้นทุกปีโดยเฉพาะปีนี้คือมีสปีกเกอร์จากต่างประเทศหลายคนก็ให้ความสนใจในเมืองไทยแล้วก็มาให้ความรู้กับเรา
The idea behind Lead 2019 was how can we build an event that exposes the Thai community to really show what is the very best out there to inspire the nation, and then we'll also build in workshops that allow us to upskill this community.
Look where we want to go. Don't look down at the ground about what sucks right now.
Strategy is not a plan. It's not a plan. And we can't fool ourselves thinking that we could just make a whole list of all the things we want to build and that will get us value.
ยินดีต้อนรับนะคะเข้าสู่ Digital Experience Design นะคะธนาคารกรุงเทพนะคะวันนี้นะคะดิฉันการะเกษสิงห์ทองนะคะเป็นดีไซน์ PM นะคะของธนาคารกรุงเทพนะคะก็ขอยินดีต้อนรับทุกคนนะคะก็เดี๋ยวไม่ให้เป็นการเสียเวลานะคะก็เชิญพี่ชนนะคะ Head of Digital Experience นะคะธนาคารกรุงเทพค่ะเชิญค่ะ
สวัสดีครับสวัสดีครับโอเคก่อนอื่นเลยขอบคุณมากๆนะครับที่เชื่อใน knowledge ของเราหรือเปล่า ที่มาจอยกันวันนี้นะครับก็ขอบคุณมากๆเลยรู้สึกอบอุ่นนะครับสถานที่อาจจะแคบไปนิดนึงแต่รู้สึกว่ามันอบอุ่นดีเนาะก็ขอบคุณมากๆครับทุกคนปรบมือทีมงานปรบมือให้ออเดียนทุกคนที่มาร่วมงานในวันนี้หน่อยครับขอบคุณมากๆนะครับแล้วก็สั้นๆนะครับขอบคุณทีมงานที่ช่วยจัดสถานที่เนาะจากที่ทำงานมากลายเป็นเขาเรียกไลฟ์สเตจแล้วก็ปรบมือให้ตัวเองหน่อยนะครับที่ร่วมกันจัดงานแล้วก็สร้างการเปลี่ยนแปลงจากการทำรีเสิร์ชอะไรต่างๆจนแอปพลิเคชันธนาคารกรุงเทพของเราเริ่มมีการเปลี่ยนแปลงแล้วก็มีทิศทางในเรื่องของ user experience ที่ดีนะครับปรบมือให้ตัวเองด้วยครับทีมงานโอเค now it's time โอเคก็เดี๋ยวขอต้อนรับคุณเอลิเก้นะครับเขาก็จะมาสปีกในเรื่องเกี่ยวกับงานรีเสิร์ชที่เราใช้ methodology ต่างๆ theory ต่างๆนะครับแล้วก็มีแชร์ case study ที่เราใช้จริงๆในช่วงตัวดีไซน์ที่ผ่านมาแล้วก็สำหรับเขาเรียกว่างานดีไซน์โซลูชันในต่อๆไปนะ and now please welcome Mr. Enrique
Thank you. Wow, thanks everybody. Is this my camera? Which one's my camera? That's my camera? This is my camera? Nice, lovely, lovely. Well, thank you all for coming. This is one of my favorite countries to speak on. I say that in every country, but this time I really, really, really mean it. But I'm a bit nervous. And the reason I'm nervous is not just because it's my first time speaking in Bangkok. It's also because the shortest course I teach at my university on product discovery lasts 8 hours, okay? So in order to all come back home before 5 a.m., is that I need your full participation, okay? And I need your highest energy. Is that a thing that we can do at home too? So I need you to do a little exercise. Could we all stand up for a second? Just for a second, I promise 15 seconds. And I need you all to start clapping very slowly. Start clapping very slowly. Okay, and now as I go up, let's start clapping higher and higher and higher and higher and higher. Now go crazy, go crazy. All right, Bangkok, let's go crazy. That's right. Woo! Okay, now stop. So this is in case the talk goes horribly. I still have some material to post on Instagram that, oh, it's a beautiful talk. Everyone was super happy, even though it probably will not be the case. No, but really. So my name is Enrique-de la Camara. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And today, hi. Oh, another camera. And I'm very passionate about designing, delivering, and scaling great products. And what is a great product? A great product, as I understand it, is not just a product that makes businesses successful. It's also a product that makes the user successful, beyond the user makes society successful, and even the planet successful. So those are the kind of products I loved working on, right? And so today, in the next 5-6 hours we have today, 7 hours, 6 hours, in the next 6 hours, what I want you to do is show you how I have worked with clients like Google, like Microsoft, like IKEA, like Coca-Cola, and now BBO, which is my favorite client so far. It didn't pay me to say that a lot. And teach you how I work with them to use research as a weapon of mass construction. Construction of what? A weapon of mass creation. Creation of happy customers, of loyal customers, of profitable customers. So does that sound like a plan? Are you all interested in that? Nice, lovely. So before we start, I know what you're all thinking, right? A presentation on research, like boring, right? Like what are we doing here on a Thursday night in Bangkok? Aren't there better things to do? And we believe this because we've been fed an awful lie. What's the great lie that we're believing here? The great lie is that if it's not hard and boring, it's not good work, right? We all believe that there is no progress without sacrifice. If we want to get good work, we have to suffer a little bit. We have to sacrifice something. And that's a lie, because the best work I've seen produced is the work produced when we're feeling our best. So in order to perform on our best, we need to feel our best. And this is true for research too. The more fun we're having, the more relaxed we can work, and the better the work gets done. So my point today that I want to make across is that not only can we make research innovative and agile and exciting, but that we must make research innovative, agile, and exciting, right? In order to make research the engine, not just of business growth, but of user success. So in order to do that, we're going to do 3 things today, right? In our way to reimagine research, we're first going to see what's wrong with research today. Once we know what's wrong with it, let's see how we can turn these weaknesses of research into strengths. And then finally, I'm going to give you some tips and tricks so you can start doing today. Well, not today, probably tomorrow, right? Go home, relax, chill, and then tomorrow you can start doing it. I want to hear from you. I want you all to take your phones out. Have you all brought your phones out? Yep. Right? Nice. And so you all please take your phones out. And what I want you to do is scan this QR code. Let's see if this works. Yeah. And I want you to tell me, what do you think is wrong with research today? I do this in every country I visit, and I'm curious what Thailand thinks the problem with research is. So let's give you about 1 minute. Do you want me to sing while we wait, or do you want me to stay quiet? Maybe I'll stay quiet for the sake of. You're too kind. People at home can also scan, right? Hello, people at home, I can see you. You can scan the QR, right? Perfect. Right, so methodology is very complicated. There's a lot of data. There's stakeholder experience, not user. Oh, that's nice. Paperwork, wow. Somewhat boring, yes. Takes a long time, not interesting enough, difficult to understand. All right, lots of numbers, maybe hard for the right participants. Poor shareback, scam, yeah, scam is important. All right, so you're all right. I've seen a lot of themes emerge, especially about time and about skills. Love your man bam. Thanks, Mom. I'm glad that you could connect from Spain. All right, let's keep it here. So there are 6 things, 6 mistakes I've seen repeated across teams, across industries, across the world, across every team I've worked with. These 6 are, the first one, research is too standard. So a lot of teams that I work with, when I come in, I see that they're only relying in 1 or 2 methods. Mostly they're either interviewing too much or just surveying too much. The second is that they're too siloed. So I come in and I work with just researchers. And that's a travesty, right? Research should be done by people beyond the research team. The third one is it's too slow. So seldom do I go into a team and they are able to produce insights, reports, and help below the 2-week mark. The fourth one is that it's too linear. So I come in and their process looks always something like we plan the research, we collect the data, we analyze the data, and we produce the report. The fifth is it's too focused, right? So it doesn't challenge assumptions. You give me an objective and we automatically go and plan to that objective instead of challenging. What are we really looking for? Is this going to be the best analysis that money can buy? And lastly, it's too theoretical. So what I see a lot is that there's not a so what factor, right? So, okay, they're very good at describing what's happening, but not at prescribing what should happen, right? So now what I would like to do with you tonight is go one by one in all these mistakes and see how we can fix them, how we can turn these weaknesses into strengths so that you get all the power of research. Sounds like a plan? Are you still with me? Or are you asleep? That side's a bit sleepy, no? You don't like the plan? Should we do another 6? Or are we good with the 6? Are we good with the 6? Nice. So, first one, too standard. Today, the problems we're having are not the problems that we had 10 years ago. The user has changed more in the last 2 years than in the entire previous decade. And so our methods must adapt to these challenges, right? We cannot solve a systemic challenge with a simplistic answer. The answer will be simple and elegant, but not simplistic. And the difference is the more methods we can apply here, not just one method, the more perspective we can gather of the same problem. And our solution will be as rich as the challenge that we have to solve. And there's a saying, I wonder if you know this, in Thailand, to one that only has a hammer, all the problems look like a nail, right? So if you only know how to do interviews or UTs or surveys, all the problems will look the same to you, right? Oh, that we can solve that with a survey. We can solve that with an interview. The more methods you have, the more perspective you'll have on the problem. And the better you'll understand the problem and the better you solve the problem. So now, what are the things we have to stop doing and the things we have to start doing? Let's start with the things we have to do less of. Thanks for my friend for the rights to his meme. So less of. We have to do less on relying on having conversation on, do we do just qualitative or quantitative, right? There's so much more variables that I'm going to show you in a minute that we have to consider. So we stop doing that and we do more of trying innovative methods and mixing them up. I was going to try to make you guess what we have to do, maybe in the next one. So how do we do that, especially at BBL? First of all, what decision is being made, right? A lot of research teams are not part of the decision, getting the right objective. So what constitutes success here? Before we start the research, what are we trying to achieve? What does success look like for our users that we have to find a solution to, right? What are we trying to accomplish? What are the alternatives? So an example of this might be, how might we raise our profits by 5%? Or how we decide between two alternative screens for a specific feature, right? Once we understand what success looks like for all the team, then we ask the question, what insight would give me that answer? So if we're trying to design between two screens, one insight, for instance, would be, hey, if we get 94% of users agree that alternative B is better than A, would that help us make a decision, right? So what we're doing here is prototyping the result before we get it. Why do we do that? Because once we know what we're looking for, it's easier to build and design the research to get it, right? So once, the first thing I do when a PO or a business leader comes to me and says, hey, I need to make this decision, I ask him, okay, what kind of insight would help you make this decision? If I told you that 94% of users prefer A to B, would that make it? And maybe he say, oh, with 75% is enough. Oh, okay. And how many people do we need to say this? If one person says it, is okay? No, at least we need 200. You see, and in this interaction, we are designing together the right research for the team. And so the last step is very easy, is what is the most cost-efficient and time-efficient method to get those insights? So now that we know that we need to decide between two screens, and we know that we need 75% of people, of 100 users, pick one screen over the other, what is the most time-effective way to do it? Oh, we can do an unmoderated test with this online, right? Or we can bring 100 people and make a moderated test. We will, depending on the variables, we will find the best one. My point is, we don't just ask, are we going to do quantitative or are we going to do qualitative? We first ask, hey, what are we trying to do? Are we trying to validate something? Or are we trying to explore something? Once we know if we're researching for exploration or validation, the next step is, what is the object of our research? Are we going to focus on what they're saying or on what they're doing? Their answers or their behaviors? And then finally, we can agree on a focus. Are we going to focus more on quantitative or are we going to focus more on qualitative? And the answers that come from this graph are not simple. Research is supposed to be messy because the answers that we want are very messy and are very systemic. So we will try many methods, not just one. And even when we come up with a research route, it will evolve as answers appear, right? Let me show you how this looks like. So the last piece of research we've done, we started just by looking at the analytics and seeing misbehaviors, behaviors that we don't want in our app. So for instance, there was a feature that had a lot of traffic and a lot of drop-off. Hey, what's going on here, right? So once we've picked that signal through quantitative data analytics, we shifted to qualitative user interviews, hunting for user stories. Hey, what's happening here? When you use this feature, what happens? What's your context? What is happening around you? What do you need? What are the obstacles to clicking through and your drivers to clicking through, so we can reduce your obstacles and amplify the drivers? Once we know those, we then design A/B tests and we perform A/B scorings. So with all these forces they've described in the interviews, we apply them and turn them into prototypes. And those prototypes we're going to score, right? Scoring means we don't just A/B and measure for conversion. We also can measure time. We can measure satisfaction after that A/B test and a whole other host of variables. Once we have that, we shift to qualitative again and make an interview based on the prototypes. So based on the prototypes you've just used, how do you feel about them, right? What would you make and how can you make them better for you? And we're never going to take into account what they're saying strictly, but we are going to take into account why they're saying it, right? And finally, we shifted back to a mixed method, card sorting, to understand the mental model behind it. So all this, instead of just, okay, let's do a survey and see what's wrong, or let's do some interviews. No, methods should be connected, because when we do this, we get an answer that is as rich as the problem we have to solve. And that's the only way to solve these complex problems. Next up, how are we doing? This was just the first out of 6. Should we go faster? What do you think? Slower? Oh, faster? Yeah, all right. This is good, marvelous. The second one is, so we need a lot of methods. And there's a fear because, we need a lot of technical skills. If we need to do these fast prototypes, we're going to need a lot of UXers and UIs and even engineers sometimes. So how do we ensure that all the technical skills we need are in the team? That brings us to the second. Research today is too siloed. Research today is mainly done by researchers. This has to end, because instead of doing research for some teams, we need to do it with the teams. We need to include everybody in the research, because if we include more people in the research, their perspectives will enrich the analysis, but also it will help us be a lot faster because we have more people and because we don't have to spend that much time updating everybody, because everybody was in the room, everybody was part of the process. So it helps us make it more powerful and in less time. So here, what we're going to do less of is less performing research by ourselves. What do you think is going to be the more of? What do you think Drake is going to tell us to do to stop being siloed? Sorry, let's give you a mic.
Involve everyone.
Involve everyone. Absolutely, yes. I don't know if you talked to Drake before this, but that's exactly what Drake says. The best researchers are not performers, are orchestrators. When I hire new researchers, one of the key skills I look for is how good is he at leading other disciplines through their own methodologies, right? And involve them and get the most out of others. So what do we do in the day-to-day? There's 3 stages that we need them very involved. The first one is in planning. And here, my favorite thing is to involve business and tech. And a lot of people understand why business needs to be involved in the planning, because they are the ones that are going to establish the objectives. But not a lot of people understand the tech at the beginning. Why do you think I involve tech at the beginning? Any ideas? Implementation, yes, and feasibility analysis. That's good. That is correct. Yes, Carl. Yes, that's the key. So 2 reasons. If they're not involved in planning and we invest in an idea and then we bring research and we bring everyone in, even customers, and we validate it, and then at the end, tech says, but we cannot do this, then all of our time, all of our money, and the user's money, wasted. So by including tech at the beginning, we are included that feasibility layer, but also, as Carl said, engineers have a lot of knowledge about what can we do, the latest possibilities of technology. So when there's an update, they're the first ones to know. So by including them, we are also enriching the quality of the ideas we're having, because they can say, hey, to solve that problem, we could use this new update. Oh, wow. Suddenly, tech is not only a layer, right, to see if we can do something, but an engine of new somethings, of new ideas, of new possibilities. The second is execution. And it's very important that everybody is involved in execution, because that will save you hours of going back and forth on, but what does this number come from? And what does this number come from? And what is that explanation of that number and that number, right? A lot of countless hours will be just in your pocket back if they're included in the execution, because everybody will know where each number come from, and also it will enrich discussions because many professionals listen with unique ears. So the business people will listen, users say things like, oh, I like to use this better than that competitor. Whereas the UX will listen other things like, oh, it's very difficult to me to use this when I'm in the subway. While the UI will listen to other things like, oh, I don't like the interaction or the colors here, right? So by including everyone, it will be better for the execution and for the analysis, because then we'll bring much wider array of ideas when ideating. Okay, so that's for the siloed. Thing is, if we involve a lot of people, we will be very slow, right? Oh, we have to involve 20 people, 30 people, that will slow us down a lot, right? Wrong. Why? Because as I told you, if everyone is in it from the beginning, you will save countless hours updating everyone. And also, the new skills will help you get insights much faster. So just as we have lean development, we should have lean research. What does lean research mean? It means that instead of just waiting until the final report is done, so hey, let us researchers do the research, and then when the research is done, we will produce this report and we'll send it to you. Instead of that, what we're going to do is create what I call open research kitchens. And what that is collaborative documents that I'm going to show you in a minute, where everybody can follow our progress live. Because sometimes people don't need to wait until the report is beautiful and ready to take the next action. Sometimes, yes, we need an insight that's very mature. But for other decisions, we can do with what are the first signals. And with those first signals, we can course correct very fast, right? So what's the minimum viable insight that each team needs is different. So that's why by giving them access to these kinds of deliverables, or let's call them spaces. So this is a UXR open kitchen that we're working with here. And you can see what each member of the research team is working on now. So everybody from the tech team to the UX to UI can see what we're working on in real life, in case that can help their work. Then they have cumulative deliverables like personas that are updated with everything we learn. So if we're working on a specific feature with tech and we discover something, all the other teams will have access to the discovery. And then we have useful closed research. So everything that we've done in the past is accessible here. This helps us come up with research calendars like this. This allows us to move fast and break things. So this is just an example of an agenda we have. You can take photos if you want. On Monday, we plan and we do team syncs. And then on Tuesday, we prototype and we test with real users. We have real users coming in every week, at least once a week. Once we test with users, we do revisions, we learn, we developed. And then after another session of prototyping on Thursday, they come back to us. And again, we show it, our work, our progress. We have interactions every day. This helps us design our product with the user, not for the user. And it makes for much better products, much faster products. And it's just more fun to work with. Prang, is it more fun to work with?
Yep.
I almost didn't pay her to say yes there. So we're fast. Now the problem is some teams can apply this and learn faster, but can they adjust? Research today is very linear, meaning how it works today is we get some objectives, then we plan, we collect, we analyze, and we report. Does that sound familiar? How many of you work on a get objectives, plan, execute, analyze, produce report? Did you show hands there in your house as well? Right, nobody in house, but here, no one works in this linear way? You work in this linear way? Right, most of the teams I've worked with work like this. Now, what's the meaning of agile? Many people nowadays talk a lot about agile. And agile is this, and agile is that. But if you look at the original document, agile just means that you can change as you learn. That is agile as its most basic definition. And interestingly enough, it's also Einstein's definition of intelligence. Einstein said, the true measure of intelligence is the ability to change. And that's basically what agile means. So how do we make research agile, not linear? How do we make a research team that as we learn, we can change the whole plan, right? And adapt to new learnings as we go, rather than wait until the end, produce the report, and then wait for the next wave. So what are we going to do less of? We're going to do less of sticking to the plan and producing a report in the end. And we're going to do more of what? Any ideas? What can we do? Yuli, do you have any idea?
So hungry tonight. I'm going to like grab a pizza.
You have food there, man. Somebody get this man a pizza. He only came for the pizza. He doesn't care about research. Come on. I mean, me too. No, thanks, Julie. Still thinking, no worries. So what we do is we not only adjust as learning appear, but we're going to tailor our reports not just to the outputs, not just to the audience, but the context. What do I mean by that? What I mean is we're going to create loops when we're planning research. We're going to plan them in a form that let us be iterative, right? So we launch a plan. Here you have an alignment with the business, the POs. Once we have aligned what constitutes success for this research sprint, we go on our different methods. And then when we're sharing results, we have a loop. So this loop allows us, if we didn't see the results we were expecting, how might we go back until we find out a solution that works for everybody? So it's in the way we design research, these loops. And also, as you can see here, we had to anonymize it. This is the results of the same research, but for different teams, right? So for POs, we give them a results that speak to their needs. And then for technology people, we use a whole different kind of output, right? We don't have the same output for the same teams. We adapt the output of our research to the necessities of each team so that we ensure that we are helping them truly influence decision with our research. The next one is, we're almost there, guys. It's 5 out of 6. The next one is, it's too focused. And this is very close to my heart because some teams can adapt, but they are not willing to adapt. What do I mean by this? A lot of research today, and it kills me to admit it, is only done to get a tick, right? Some POs, some business leaders just asked us to perform some little research so that then they can say, yeah, we did some research. Just put the tick, man. Just verify our hypothesis. But great research should not verify. Great research should falsify. We should always be looking to falsify our ideas and learn that we were wrong, right? So how do we do this? We need to do less of just, research that ticks the box. Yeah, we did research and we verified someone else's idea. To forensic research. What do I mean by forensic research? As researchers should behave as criminal investigators, right? You have CSI here, criminal scene investigation, CSI Miami. You have that? Do you have those? We have to add like those teams, right? We have to see a behavior we like or we don't like in our products and ask, what happened here? Just do an investigation, treat it like a crime scene, like somebody was murdered. What were the forces in the user's mind that caused this behavior, right? If it's a behavior we don't like, we want to get those forces to get rid of those behaviors. And if we want to increase those behaviors, we also need to get a hold of these forces so we can give them more of it. So how do we do criminal investigation in research, UX research? Oh, wrong button. Let me fix it. Oh, right. Yes, this screen. Second one. This is a little rest I'm giving you to think about. What do you think? How do you think we do this? Could you help me, Frank? I'm older than I look. I don't. How can we shift from verifying to falsifying? How do we look for these behaviors, these forces that are behind user behavior? Oh, wow, it's more serious than I thought. Yeah, but and then we cannot click. Try to click. Little rest in case you at home needed to go to the bathroom. This is your cue to go to the bathroom. We could just stay in this. This is the best slide in the whole presentation. So there's no better slides. From here, it's now. Okay. So we have a whole, hit it. We have a whole presentation that Prang did for UX Thailand, I think, no? Or was it for another forum? Called "The Customer is Always Right." Wrong. The customer is not always right. Because users are very fast to tell you what they want, but they're also very bad at telling you what they want, right? So how do we split the difference? Yeah, 20 people working. Should I help? No, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. It's working now. It's working, it's working. Yeah, it's working. Don't worry. It's fixed. Yeah. Bring the whole team. How many consultants do you need to fix? No, it's okay. Okay, perfect. Thank you. So what we're going to do is we're going to not just stop at what the users say and what they do. We're going to dig deeper. We want to get to the structures. So what were the forces that were pulling us, you know, from the existing product to the next? Instead of, because a lot of people asked us to interview and work with existing users, right? Users that have been with us for the longest time. And I always tell them, you can learn more from users that have switched recently than from 1,000 that have stayed. Because the people who have switched have a reason to switch. We can analyze what made them switch. What are the attributes from our product that pull them in? What are the attributes for the other product that push them out, right? What are the forces of habit that try to keep them? And what are the magnetisms that push them out, right? So by analyzing these structures, by analyzing users that have switched, we can learn a whole lot more than people who have stayed. We can learn from people who have stayed, just not enough that people who have switched recently, because we can apply criminal investigation much easier. And then study the mindsets. What's the mindset? What does success look like for this user, right? What does failure look like for this user? What are they trying to avoid? What are they trying to become? And then what role can we play in their lives to help them become more of what they want and less of what they don't want? That is the whole complete kind of criminal scene investigation. Oh, arigatou gozaimasu. So here's one of my most favorite tools to accomplish this, is testing cards and learning cards. Have you anyone seen these before? Yes, Carl. Who else? Prang, obviously, because we work together. Who else? Anyone that hasn't worked with it? Is the first time you've seen this? Okay, wow. So what is a test card? So these work in combination. We first produce test cards before our research, and we produce learning cards after our research. So what's on a testing card? First thing on a testing card, our hypothesis. We believe that blah, 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 blah. So here, let me put this example for another client. We believe that adding self-service assistance can improve the experience at this step. That's our hypothesis. Next thing we have is the experiment. So to verify that hypothesis, we will build a prototype chatbot on a B landing page and compare a bench against the main page. So we have the hypothesis, the experiment, which we're going to validate it, and then the measurement. So in one column, we write, during the test, we will measure these variables. In this case, session duration, click-through rate, and satisfaction after usage. And the most important part that everybody forgets, and it kills me every time, is what would we consider success? Okay, you told me that you're going to measure session duration. What does success look like? More than 7 minutes. Perfect. Now I know that if we go above 7 minutes, it will be considered a success. If we're below that, we won't go ahead. Next thing, click-through rate. Yes, but how much lift do we want? 5%? 5%, perfect. We're putting these OKRs there. Satisfaction. What are we looking for? 8 out of 10 average, perfect. So always remember, not just to put the measurement, but the goal that will measure if that is a success or a failure, right? Now let's go to the learning guide. So now we have the hypothesis, the experiment, the variables, the measurements, success criteria. We carry out that experiment, and at the end, we have the results. The first column of the results is during the test, again, we measured these things, and then instead of the criteria for success, we put the observations, right? So the session duration, we said 7 minutes is success. We observed 9 minutes, so first great goal. Click-through rate, we wanted a 5%, and we observed a 10%. Second great success. Satisfaction, we wanted 8 out of 10 average, and we achieved 8 of 10 average. Great success. So now we have the learning card. So from these results, we learned that a chatbot was indeed the right feature, but we should get a human assistant button for extreme users, right? Those are the learnings. And then, and this is the most important thing in the whole lecture, so if you have been sleeping until now, please wake up, especially you at home. We have the actions. So because we have observed this, we learned that, so we're going to do this. Therefore, we will start developing the chatbot, building connections to the call center, right? Always, always, always include the so what to research. If your research doesn't have a so what, it will not inspire action. And if it does not inspire action, your research is just bad entertainment, right? Which brings us to the last point. Is everybody ready for the last point? Nice. Research today is too theoretical. It does not respect the so what. So how many of you, hands up also at home, I can see you, how many of you have started reading a report and you thought, oh, seems to be interesting. And then halfway through, you just stopped reading because you were like, so what? Yeah, it's very interesting, but what should I do about it, right? How do I transform this insight into action? How many of you? No one. Oh, yeah, we have some. Okay, and at home, let me see at home. Yeah, at home too. Perfect. We have, yeah, many hands at home. So good research, good research describes what is. So here is what's happening. But great research also prescribes what if, right? So when I'm looking for a great research team, it's not just that they are able to tell me what is happening, but what should happen. What are some ideas that your research unveils that we can pursue as a next step, right? So how do we do this? We're going to do less of just describing what is happening. So users want this, users said that, this trend is changing or remains unchanged, right? And we're going to go beyond description into prescription. So because this is happening, this is the best ideas to try out, right? We have to transform the right data into the right insight and the right insight into the right action. That's great research. So how do we do that? This is a very complex graph. I had another graph, but apparently there was a lot of sensitive data, so we have to change it last minute. But here what we're saying is we're starting with the user stories, right? So we have a product. What does it mean to the potential audience of this product to succeed or fail? Tell me the story of success. Tell me the story of failure. And then once we have those stories, we ask what features could help them be more successful or less unsuccessful, right? Once we have the features, the next question is, are they in the app now or in your product now, right? Are they performing at the level that the user is satisfied with, better than the alternatives? If yes, perfect, but if no, what's the suggested next step, right? And once we have the suggested next step, we don't stop there. We also do the business case. And this is the second most important point, probably the first and most important point. But I already told you the most important point, so let's have it as the second most important point. We need to focus on profit. And I feel that many people, when I say that, think, oh no, researchers' job is not to focus on profit. That's the business. We're pure, right? We're not thinking of money all the time like they do. No, we must tie everything we do, our insight, with profit. Researchers that don't understand the business don't understand their true work. Because if we cannot tie a specific insight to the business growing through user success or whatever other source, then we won't be able to justify the value of our work. And we will see what's happening right now, right? When times get tough, the first thing every design team does is fire all the researchers. Because they're saying, right? Because, hey, I don't know how these people contribute to my bottom line, so they're the first off. So by establishing a link between an insight and an impact on the bottom line, on the profit, how is this learning driving my revenues up, down, or my costs up or down, right? How can it impact prices, volumes, fixed costs, variable costs, right? By doing that, we can make the business case for our work so that we can stay in the company. But not only that, it's not only good for us, but we're also helping our products evolve with the user, not apart from the user, right? We're able to not only respond to user change, but anticipate user change, which is what business need to do today if they want to stay alive. So don't just do it for you, do it for the whole business. Right, so we have the 6. How are you feeling? How's everybody feeling? Too short, too long? Keep going. More. Some people are already asleep in the back. Let me see at home. We have 6 or 7 people sleeping at home already. Right? Their cat is trying to wake them up. So let's see if we have learned something today. The next step is going to be a quiz. And I know it sounds difficult, but the winner will get 7 billion baht paid by Kunchon over the next 10,000 years. No, just kidding. It's 10 billion, yeah, Australian dollars, which is like 30 baht, something like that. I don't know the exchange rate. So I'm going to ask you about behaviors that you think you should turn off or turn on. What should you stop doing or start doing? So first one is research is too standardized, right? So we're only basing our research in qualitative, quantitative. Are we interviewing? Are we surveying, right? What should we start doing instead of this? What are you going to start doing instead of this? Any hands at home? No one at home. Everybody's asleep. Here. Hand up. Nobody wants the 10 billion Australian dollars? Kunchon, just give them, man. Let's just send it in. Yes. Try thinking another way around. So more ways around, right? Yeah. Let's have more innovative ways and let's mix them, right? If you are trying the same methods over and over again, you're doing something wrong. Mix and match. Learn about, I have another talk about innovative research methods, mainly through games. I suggest you all reading a book called Innovation Games, because when your users are playing, when someone is playing, it doesn't have any defenses, any defense mechanisms, right? Many people, when they are being interviewed, they think they have to provide the right answer. But when they're playing, they're free, like kids, right? So they will give you much more information, right? Next one, too siloed. Only research doing the job. We should stop that and start involving everyone, even like people from the competition. People, random people in the street. Let's go. We are planning the New Year's budget. Yes, right. Great point, by the way. Be more integrative. This is the keyword, integrative, right? Include business, include technology, designers from the start. Third one, it's too slow, right? I mean, we are overextending the deadlines. We have a lot of activities and reports. What are we going to stop doing and start doing? What are we going to start to make it faster? Do you remember? Yes. Make it an open kitchen. Open kitchen. Oh, I love it. Oh, it might get famous. Bonus 10 billion. That's almost 100 Batman. Chill. Yes. I don't know, like if you want to use open kitchens, I'll be super proud. But any creative space, any open space where researchers can work and everybody can follow, right? So instead of sending a finished report, we involve people as we are doing the research, as we are learning. Next one. Oh, it's too linear. It's just get the objectives, I plan, conduct, analyze, report. What should we start doing against linearity? Sorry.
Plan the feedback.
Yes. Oh. Oh. We should start planning feedback loops, right? So when we are designing our research, we are producing insights all the time. And as those insights emerge, we must be able to change everything. That's the meaning of Agile. Always remember, if you learn something today, was that the true meaning of Agile is very simple. If you have POs, and if you do Scrum, and if you have Agile manifesto tattooed in your forehead, but then you're following the plan start to finish, then you're not Agile, right? It's how we react to new learnings, how we can adapt to new learnings that makes us Agile or not. So from verifying, just having the tick, right? Hey, just verify this to me, to interview some people and tell me what comes out of it. What are we going to do instead of that? Falsifying. Great research, falsify, not verify. We need to be criminal investigators. We need to see the behaviors that we want, that we don't want, and, you know, like interrogate every possible force to see what's responsible for that behavior. And finally, it's too theoretical, right? We first have an input, then we research, and then we have an output. What do we do instead of that? Nothing. We love that. So it's going to stay that way. What are we doing, May?
I answered the previous question now. I don't know.
1 hour behind. May is watching this from India. Yeah. So we're going to be more profit focused and more actionable, right? So what is the impact? Always, always, always invest in learning the numbers. If you still haven't read your business profit and loss, go and read it. Know how your business earns money, how your business invests money, and see how you can increase the things that bring revenue, the revenue streams, and how can we reduce the cost infrastructure. Always in research, it's very important to see how everything affects those two. So, another meme, the first stage of the evolution of research. First stage, we have researchers conducting interviews and analyzing the data to create reports. Next stage in this evolution would be multidisciplinary teams, not just researchers, mixed techniques to create reports. The next wave of evolution is the same multidisciplinary teams are again mixing techniques, but instead of reports, they're creating interactive prototypes and generating new ideas as they are researching. And finally, the last one. What do you think it is? Chun, tell them. Just kidding, don't worry, don't worry. The last one is the same multidisciplinary teams. They're mixing techniques and they're creating interactive prototypes, but they're doing so continuously. So the best teams I've worked with, either at Google, at Microsoft, at IKEA, were the ones that didn't have research sprints. They were always conducting research in some sort of way. It's never finished, right? So that is what distinguishes the traditional research for continuous research. And the best performing product teams are always in continuous discovery, not research. So, and this is my final point tonight that I want to make you. When we make all these changes to the research team, it's not just the research team who is changed. This is the magic of product management, the magic of product discovery, is that when we become a continuous discovery team, the whole company changes. So we stop this way of working that is more based on design thinking, whereby we research, then we define, we ideate, and we test, and we start behaving in a product mindset, where we're constantly getting the right ideas and then getting these ideas right. And we're always in this loop. It's never finished. How does this create superior businesses is the more actionable our insights are, the faster and better we release. We are calculating that we can decrease 20% the times and 48% the costs. As we release faster and better, we increase satisfaction. I've got a 63% average in the clients that I've worked with. The more satisfied the users are, the more they use it. And usage often translates into revenue. This might depend on your own product, but it's a very good guess that the more people use your product, the more revenue they're generating for your business. But also the more usage they're having, the more data they're leaving, right? Because the more they use, every single usage is more data. And with more data, we can have better insights, we have faster releases, better releases, we have more satisfaction, more usage, more data. You see how this creates a virtuous cycle that sets us apart from the competition. It's impossibly hard to compete with these kinds of businesses that are including the user in their development so that they have better insights, and then they're faster than us, and they get more satisfaction, so they get more usage and more data, and then again, better insights. It's almost impossible to compete with these kinds of teams. So this is how better research can lead to better, oh, again. Oh, that was the climax. Don't worry, I got it. I learned from my mistakes because I'm a research lead. This is how these better product management leads. So if we apply these continuous discovery methods or continuous discovery habits, as Teresa Torres calls it, wonderful, one of the best minds in the industry, we'll get better products. If we get better products, we get better markets. So these products will make the businesses that are working on them more fun, because it's generally more exciting and more productive to work in this way, but also the users will get more success out of the interactions with the product. And as a result, we'll create a better world, hopefully, for everyone. Thank you so much, everybody. That's it for today. It only took us... So let's keep in touch. My email is this. This is a QR that goes to the articles I'm writing. I'm currently writing an article on product management. Everything you always wanted to know on product management but were afraid to ask is coming out, I think, next week. And so, please, if you have any doubts, you want the slides or anything, don't hesitate to let me know. I'm also a product coach, so if you need anything from me, let's keep in touch. And now I'm going to leave it to Kunchon, who's going to start moderating the Q&A. Is that correct? Nice, all yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, can we go back to the first slide? Yeah, because Q&A actually we have. I think we are quite pretty close, so we can hands up and ask a question. Let's go to the first slide. โอเคครับถึงช่วง Q&A นะครับก็ขอเชิญสปีกเกอร์ที่อยู่พาเนลมาอยู่บริเวณนี้หน่อยครับคนแรกครับMr. Ridin our lead design system นะครับโอเคนะครับโอเค this is the design system specialist ครับ next one คุณเกวนครับ lead UX research นะครับOkay, next one, Virun. No, Virun at the hospital, right? He a little bit sad he gets sick before this session. Okay, hi Virun. Hope you well soon. Get well soon. So next, คุณปรางครับ X and Service Design Researcher ของเรานะครับโอเคแล้วก็ผมแล้วก็คุณ Enrique นะครับโอเค any question in Thai or in English can be ครับโอเคครับ
So I have a particular question for Mr. Enrique.
Yes.
So you mentioned about being very flexible when working across in the design team, right? And I wonder how do you prioritize something from another design team, like UI design, UX design, UX writing team? How do you prioritize assumptions from this team for the UX research? Because
Awesome question.
I think there must be some baseline work for the UX research team, but in terms of collaboration, how do you reconcile and streamline profitability?
That's an awesome question. It's basically how do we prioritize different points of view when we are drawing a design, right? So I could respond myself, but I'm going to refer you to the person that inspired my answer, which is Roger Martin. He wrote a book called Integrative Thinking. Integrative thinking means that we can get two ideas that are at the start seem like either one or the other, so a trade-off, and how do we ideate new possibilities whereby we can hit both targets, right? And so if you read about integrative thinking, that would be the best possible answer I can give you, because that's all there. But how we do it here is we wouldn't accept a trade-off at the beginning, right? We would try to ideate ways in which both can work. And if we don't find them, then we will make compromises. What I do is always try to prioritize the other, right? So, let's go with your idea, right? And see where it goes. And then always, if you're agile and you've implemented the agile methodology and you're really lean, as you see that was not the good idea, you can adapt very fast, right? So this is the answer. Read integrative thinking, you're going to love it. And if you don't find a way to integrate, go with the other idea and remain agile enough so that as soon as you get the first signals that that was not the right decision, you can course correct and you get the learning and you get the experience. Thank you.
โอเคมีคำถามเกี่ยวกับ Writer ก็ได้นะครับ Research ก็ได้ครับหรือว่า Design System หรือ UX UI นะครับ No Okay
ที่ไทยใช่ไหมคะโอเคคิดว่าอะไรที่ยากที่สุดในการที่เป็น challenge ที่สุดในการที่ทำ research ที่ไทยโอเคถ้าเทียบกับประสบการณ์ของปางนะคะก็เคยทำที่อังกฤษมาบ้างนิดหน่อยกับ government ของเขาอะไรเงี้ยคือเขาค่อนข้างเปิดกว้างมากๆแล้วก็ยังไงดีเขาค่อนข้าง flexible มากๆแล้วก็เปิด freedom มากๆแล้วก็เหมือนตอนที่เราทำ research ช่วงนั้นอะเราก็ไม่ได้เป็นแบบ in the big company เนาะเพราะฉะนั้นมันก็ยากมากๆที่เขาจะ trust ใน value ของ research ของเราอะไรเงี้ยแล้วก็อีกหนึ่งสิ่งที่รู้สึกว่าแตกต่างมากคือ culture เพราะว่าการทำ research ที่ไทยในการเข้าหาคนหรือว่าการที่จะขอ interview คนมันค่อนข้างยากเพราะว่า culture เราค่อนข้างแบบอยู่ดีๆเดินดุ่มๆเข้าไปหาเขาข้างถนนอย่างเงี้ยทุกคนจะอะไรของเธอเนี่ยอะไรอย่างเงี้ยนึกออกไหมแต่ว่าถ้าสมมติเป็น culture ของอังกฤษหรือว่าไม่แน่ใจว่าประเทศอื่นเป็นยังไงนะแต่ว่าถ้าอังกฤษอะไรอย่างเงี้ยคือเขาจะ open มากกว่าแล้วก็ให้ระยะเวลาเรามากกว่าในการที่จะ spend time กับเรากับ as a strangers อะไรอย่างเงี้ยก็เลยรู้สึกว่าใน outcome อ่ะมันอาจจะไม่ได้แตกต่างขนาดนั้นแต่ว่าถ้าใน during the process มันค่อนข้างสบายกว่าแล้วก็ flexible กว่าในแง่นั้นอย่างเงี้ยค่ะใช่พี่เกวนมีเสริมไหมเห็นด้วยเลย
ก็เห็นด้วยกับปรางจริงพี่คิดว่างาน research อะค่ะที่จริงแล้วมันก็อาจจะไม่ใช่ know how ของทางฝั่งไทยเนาะหรือแม้แต่ทางเอเชีย ก็แล้วแต่คราวนี้เนี่ยเวลาที่ approach เหมือนที่ปรางเล่าซึ่งมันเป็นประสบการณ์ที่เราเจอเหมือนกันก็คือไม่ว่าจะเป็นไปเจอกันแบบตัวต่อตัวเนาะหรือว่าเป็นการทำ research แบบเป็น interview ผ่านออนไลน์เนี้ยการจะทำให้เขาเปิดใจอะค่ะเราแชร์กับเราเนี่ยก็อาจจะต้องใช้เวลานิดนึงคือต้องเหมือนกับกลุ่มทำให้แบบ in the mood นิดนึงเนาะกว่าจะให้เขาเล่าเรื่องที่เราอยากจะรู้ค่ะก็น่าจะมี barrier เรื่องนี้แหละเนาะที่ค่อนข้างจะชัดอันนี้ค่ะ
Just want to ask Enrique a bit like, have you ever have a problem with like a collaboration with the other team without like or the design team? It's just like business or supplier or any other ground. Have you ever have the problem with that? Like to like execute your research or just present your research result, or and how do you do that?
Yeah, that's a good one. So the main problem researchers tend to have is that sometimes we do great work, but it doesn't reach the decision unit, right? So the people making the decisions never get to see our work, right? So how do we get research in those meetings with the president, right? With the CEO to actually get, the action out of the insight? That's the biggest problem. I remember working for a company that I cannot disclose, and the CEO would never meet me. He was too busy, never time for research. He kept doing these things and never met us. So he said, no time. So we said, perfect. We will transform all this research into pills that you can consume in 30 seconds in your car, right? So we transformed the insights. We recorded ourselves, right? And made 30-second pieces that he could watch in his car, right? And so that is a way in which we transformed a problem, a weakness, into a strength, because the consumer of those pills weren't just the president. It was the whole company. They went viral inside the company. Even some competitors showed me the pills. I said, is this you? Right? So he didn't reach the competitor, which was not a good thing. We didn't, thought of this, but we transformed that weakness that he would never see the results of our research into a strength that not only got him interested, so he started coming to our meetings almost every week because he loved the pills, but also all the company watched those pills. So everybody now had a better sense of the strategy, of the results, and of the actions that follow those results. So it's much more effective. Thank you.
Okay, a little bit slightly to design system or UI design. So I have small question for you, like how the research result affect to the UI design?
First of all, before I start, I just want to understand do you guys understand what the design system is? Do you all know what the design system is? Okay, so before I explain, I just want to, maybe someone from the audience can give an idea of a design system, because a lot of the time design system is misunderstood, right? We all think design system is just a Figma library, or it's just a style sheet, right? It's not just a style sheet or a library. It's the whole system that runs the company, right? It's the tone of voice, or it's the colors, or it's the content, it's how business logic work. It's so much in design system. So research plays a big role as a part of design system. So now to answer his question, how does it affect, how research affects UI? Of course, every analytic data that we receive is something that we can improve the design system in many ways. You can, so for example, if you get a Google Analytics and you see that, oh, this button is not being clicked very often, what can we do about it? That affects the design system, where we can say, okay, maybe we need to change the size of the button, right? Or we got to find different position. So design system is a constant evolving system. A design system that works for a particular company may not work for another company. is a bespoke system. Yeah. I don't know what more. I mean, I can talk about design system every day. I mean, this is my thing. So if you guys want to ask me anything more particular about design system, because it's a modern thing, right? I will highly recommend even researchers know what design system is. Okay, and don't tell people that is Figma library. That's not it. So yeah. Yes, Carl. Yes. How do you get them? So there's many ways to get developers involved in design system. First of all, share. I'm going to say this word: share your Figma link. But it doesn't mean, I'm not saying design system is just Figma libraries, right? But Figma design system is not just libraries, it's about documentation, right? So devs need to understand how we work. So normally what we do is we create online tools where the devs can access the documentation, they can read about it, and from the documentation, they get linked to Figma. Then they can see, and again, it's not Figma library, I'm just talking about the whole thing, yeah? Yeah, so we've been using a new tool, look into it. It's called Figmayo, like mayonnaise, right? Look into this, a very nice online tool. It's free. It allows you to upload all your colors, your typography, elevation, tone of language, whatever you want that runs the design system, you can upload up there. And everybody in your company and outside the company can access it. That's the whole point of this online tool. So, Carl, I hope I answered that question too. Thank you. Yes.
อันที่จริงอีกโรหนึ่งที่พี่คิดว่ามันเป็นโร hidden ของ researcher อะค่ะคือใช่ไหมมองว่าเราคือ influencer เนาะ คราวนี้ influencer ที่ดีแล้วกันอาจจะต้องทำหลายอย่างแรกเลยคือน่าจะต้องมีการ define goal ที่มันเคลียร์ค่ะเคลียร์ไอเดียชัดๆแล้วก็มี scope งานแล้วก็เข้าใจว่าเราต้องไป collaborate กับใครอย่างที่สองก็คืออันนี้น่าจะเป็นเรื่องที่ทางคุณEnriqueน่าจะแชร์ไว้เมื่อกี้ก็คือเรื่องของ stakeholder engagement การเอาเขาเข้ามาในช่วงเวลาที่ถูกต้องเราต้องไป collaborate กับเขาช่วงไหนหรือว่าเป็น insight แบบไหนที่เขาอยากได้อะมันคือการจำเข้าไปเข้าใจ perspective ของเขาแล้วก็ pain point ของแต่ละBU ค่ะว่าเขาอยากได้อะไรเราก็มี consistent ในการส่ง report ให้อาจจะมีเรื่องของimpact ของ insight ด้วยก็ได้อย่างเช่นเราอาจจะต้องคอย deliver เรื่องของengagement บางทีอาจจะอยากรู้เรื่องของ engagement แล้ว research ไปช่วยเขาได้ยังไงบ้างหรือว่าไป increase พวก user satisfaction อย่างเงี้ยค่ะหรือว่าอาจจะไปช่วยเขา reduce cost หรือว่า reduce risk ต่างๆอันนี้ก็จะเป็นอีกเรื่องหนึ่งอีกอันหนึ่งก็คือที่คิดว่าเป็น killing story เลยก็คือการทำ share back ให้มัน compelling การทำstorytelling เนาะเหมือนกันหมดก็คือมันจะมีความ emotional ก็คือเป็นเรื่องของอารมณ์ขึ้นมาละคราวนี้มันก็จะมี structure ในการเล่าที่เหมือนไป seduce เขานิดนึงอาจจะเป็นวิธีเล่าแบบเป็น problem solution หรือว่า benefit ที่พี่ใช้บ่อยๆนะคะหรือว่าอาจจะมองเป็นในแง่ที่ว่าเราทำให้มันเป็นเหมือน hero villain เป็น good and bad journey อันนี้ก็อาจจะช่วยเขาเข้าใจในเรื่องที่มัน complex คือแตกประเด็นออกมาให้เขาเข้าใจได้เขาก็จะ buy in จริงมีอีกหลายเรื่องเหมือนกันเนาะ วิธีจะ convince แค่แบบ department หนึ่งนี้ต้องใช้หลายกิจกรรมเหมือนกัน
Absolutely. Like I sometimes never begin to plan without the business team in the room. Because if you plan, you need their objectives, right? You need to make sure that they validate every state of the process, because if not, they will be a pain later. So even if you do it without them to say, okay, we cannot wait for them, so let's do it and then wait what happens, right? That will cause way more time loss than involving them from the beginning so that there's an alignment of what success looks like and how we're going to get that success, right? So they're updated every step of the way, and then they can become part of every step of the way if they want to. Others don't, but they know, hi there. Hi, Mom. How are you doing? Does that begin to answer your question? Yeah, perfect. No, of course. Thank you for the question. Beautiful.
Can I have a follow-up questions? I think you mentioned about your second part, right? To Cyril. So you suggest a way to solve it to involve everybody together.
And reconduct into something positive and creative, right? Because everybody's right in some way, right? Everybody has a little bit of truth. Nobody has all of it. So how do we go about getting the truth out of every perspective and craft a way forward? That's orchestration. And if you ask me for a tip, it would be to do what I call a win room. A win room is before anybody speaks, we're going to focus on what success looks like for all of us. Right? So the best product achieved this for business, this for tech, this for marketing. And once we know what's the shared vision for success, everybody will become less aggressive because they know that we need everybody. We're all in the same team, right? The competition, the alternatives are the real enemy. So it changes the tone of voice and it changes the conversation a lot. So win rooms to me are part of the answer, not all of the answer. We need also orchestration skills. Thank you. Do we have any questions from home?
โอเค มีคำถามจากทางบ้านนะ โอเค
So when your team are full of researcher and sometimes you are divided into squads to work on different projects and you work for many years and you did a lot of researches, how you store your data in order for your team member to find all those findings and learnings and, you know, don't have to do like double work thing, like how you spread and store and keep the directory of your data. Yeah, how you do that?
So I was struggling a lot because my first job was in investment banking. Sorry for that. Second in consulting, then marketing, then design, professor, all of this. And every time I switch works, I was in a panic, like, all my data, all the access to this document is going to die, right? Where can I save all this data? And I had a very hard time. And then it hit me. You know, this data is like a yogurt. It has an expiration date. Like if I discovered something for some industry in some geography at some time, that is good indicator, but it has a shelf life, right? And so you shouldn't be so scared to lose it, because if it's a long time ago, it's more than 6 months I discovered, maybe it's a good idea to rediscover sometimes, right? I'm not saying just throw everything that is more than 6 months old. I'm saying store it in a way that is not very painful for you. So for instance, I use a lot of Note Shelf, I use a lot of Notion, I use a lot of Google Drive. And then I have an AI, a chat GPT that I created to access everything and then get me that's like a good way to use AI, right? You feed them all your PDFs and then you can train it and then ask questions. But don't worry about losing things that are old, because it's better sometimes to rediscover the insight rather than to recover the insight. Thank you. Next one. Oh. ช่วยแปลให้หน่อยนะครับอยากถามดีไซน์ซิสเต็มครับเวลาที่เราทำดีไซน์ซิสเต็มไม่ว่าจะเป็นพวกคอมโพเนนต์ต่างๆครับมีการรีเสิร์ชก่อนไหมก่อนที่จะเอาไปให้คนดีไซเนอร์ใช้ครับอย่างเช่นพวกบอททอนพวกเน็ตบาร์พวกต่างๆอะไรเงี้ยพวกไซซิ่งหรือพวกสีพวกขนาดฟอนต์อะไรเงี้ยคือเวลาที่เราเอาให้ดีไซเนอร์ใช้งานเขาจะมักจะถามว่าสิ่งที่เราทำออกแบบมาเนี่ยมันผ่านการเทสมาหรือยังหรือว่าไปรีเสิร์ชมาหรือยังอะไรเงี้ยก็เลยไม่แน่ใจว่าทั้งคุณอะไรทั้งโทษทีตัวคุณพี่มีการเทสหรือมีการมันรีเสิร์ชมาก่อนไหมครับโอเครบกวนนิดนึงครับขอบคุณครับ
Actually, Lidin can understand Thai, but in only bad word. No. Okay, like okay. He want to know what before we take the design solution into the design system. Did you test this? If we another team have some question like okay, this drop down has been tested or usability test already and how you ใช่ไหมครับก็คือจะตอบคำถามเหล่านี้กับเขายังไงใช่ไหมครับ Okay, do you have a research before decide this button, or you have a research, or you have usability test before decide this? They have that we have been we have been answer them all the way.
I think it's a very good question. We have this scenario all the time, right? As the product evolve, you come across this new component, and then you be like, okay, we need to implement this component into the system, right? So usually what happens is we obviously do our research, but anything that goes into the design system permanently, it has to go through testing and demos, iterations. It's not something just put it into system and then, hey guys, it's done. No, it has to go through repetitive testing. The testing could be internally, it could be a research work, do a demo, see how it goes. And once it's finalized, then we put it up into the design system. There are two processes. One, obviously, you put it into the library if it's a component, right? Again, if you're talking about just components, but it could be many other things, right? But once before you put in the components, then you got to document everything that you did. So you have to say like, okay, what is this component is about? How to use it, the guidelines, what you can do, what you cannot do, all that has to be done before you permanently stitch it into the design system. Again, even though it's inside the design system, it doesn't mean you cannot take it out. If your research finding comes out, hey guys, this component is not working out, we got to rework on it. Yeah. So nothing is permanent, and design system is constantly growing, evolving, just like researchers is constantly iterating and constantly evolving. Something we started a year ago may not be now there. It's discontinued or keep moving on. Yeah, that's how it is. Yeah. I hope I answered your questions.
งั้นขอเสริมในแง่ research นิดนึงนะคะก็คืออย่างที่ Redin บอกว่าตัวdesign system มันก็จะมีการrapidly testing ไปเรื่อยๆเนาะก็เหมือนกับ research เหมือนกันก็เวลาทำพวกนี้มันก็จะเชื่อมโยงไปกับพวก quality บ้าง quality testing ก็พวก UT บ้าง right บ้างอะไรอย่างเงี้ย right มันก็คือการ rapidly testing ไปเรื่อยๆเหมือนกันเช่นเดียวกันเพราะฉะนั้นเราก็จะได้ result ออกมาที่ค่อนข้างจะไม่เหมือนกันในแต่ละยุคสมัยแล้วกันเนาะแต่ละเทรนด์ในแต่ละการเปลี่ยนแปลงไปมันก็เปลี่ยนหมดไม่ว่าจะเป็นทั้ง UI ไม่ว่าจะเป็นทั้ง user experience ต่างๆอะไรอย่างเงี้ยค่ะเพราะฉะนั้นdesign system ก็มีการเปลี่ยนไปเรื่อยเหมือนกัน even เป็นสีเล็กๆของ Bangkok Bank อย่างเงี้ยมันก็ถูกเปลี่ยนไปเหมือนกันอะไรอย่างเงี้ยค่ะเพราะฉะนั้นมัน matters หมดเลย mood and tone typography หรือว่า even button small button แค่ขีดเล็กๆอะไรอย่างเงี้ยคนที่เราไปทำ user testing เขาก็เห็น แล้วเราก็มาเป็นจะทำยังไงให้มันดีขึ้นหรือว่าถ้ามัน minor point มากๆก็คือเราจะต้องทำยังไงให้มันสื่อสารได้ตรงจุดมากขึ้นอะไรเงี้ยค่ะเพราะฉะนั้นก็มีการเปลี่ยนแปลงตลอดเวลาค่ะประมาณนั้น
ของบ้านก็ Yeah, so I'll ask in English, but I wanted everyone to like share the experience. So we know that we wanted to integrate UX research into every department, right? So at the end of the day, we all need to be involved in the research process. I want to know, like, for each department, what are the things, like, what are the one thing that made you believe in UX research?
Of course, yes.
So from my perspective, like what's one thing that made me believe in UX research? It's the results that comes out from it, right? Because a lot of the times, so for example, I'm working on a project. The only way we can be a good designer, a good design system engineer, or whatever it is to receive data from external, right? We have to understand what we are building for, who we're building for, which user, right? And the only way that could come from is UX research. So that's very important for me to understand how does it affect the product. It's only by doing more research. So these quantitative data or qualitative data is very important. I cannot say research is not good. I mean, it's very important for any organization.
อยากจะเสริมเรื่องนี้เนาะว่าทำไมเขาถึงเวลาเข้ามาอินโวลกับทีมรีเสิร์ชใช่ไหมแล้วทำยังไงให้เขาเชื่อในผลอะไรต่างๆอย่างเงี้ยครับก็ต้องบอกว่า Data เรามีหลายแกนมากๆเนาะทั้ง qualitative social listening quantitative analytic อะไรต่างๆนานาอย่างเงี้ยพอ Data มันมีทุกแกนนะครับคือเขาจะเชื่อมั่นมากกว่าการที่เราไปเทสmethodology ใด methodology เดียวอย่างเช่น interview 5 คนมาแล้วอย่างเงี้ยเขาจะรู้สึกว่าเฮ้ยมัน bias หรือเปล่าใช่ไหมครับทีนี้พอเราเอา data จาก analytic behavior ที่เป็นแบบหลักพันหลักหมื่นหลักล้านอะไรอย่างเงี้ยครับเข้ามาแมปเข้ากับ interview แล้วก็ social listening แล้วก็อาจจะมี report ที่เป็น reference มาแมปกันทั้งหมดบางดีไซน์เราก็ต้องใช้ theory บ้างใช้ทฤษฎีของการดีไซน์เหมือนไลฟ์ที่แล้วผมก็คือโอเคทฤษฎีไหนที่มันแมปเข้ากับงานดีไซน์ตัวนี้แล้วเราก็เอามาผูกกันทั้งหมดพอเราเล่าแบบนี้ครับเวลาที่ไปพรีเซนต์อันนี้จากประสบการณ์เลยเนาะเวลาที่ไปพรีเซนต์กับทางไม่ว่าจะเป็น business หรือว่า tech อะไรอย่างเงี้ยเขาจะไม่มีคำถามเลยอันนั้นคือแบบ quick win win เขาเรียกว่าอะไรมันคือเป้าหมายของเราเลยว่าโอเคพอเขาไม่มีคำถามเขาก็จะถกในเรื่องของโอเคทีนี้เรามาวางแผนยังไงกันต่อ next action เป็นยังไงเรื่องของหลังบ้านเป็นยังไง solution เราต้องทำยังไง tech อะไรต่างๆนานาอย่างเงี้ยครับเนาะพอตอบคำถามขอบคุณพอได้เนาะหมอเคยใช่ทางบ้านนะครับokay. Reading or elegant AI?
So I teach at a university, and I had a problem with the headmaster because AI was prohibited in all other classes. So all other teachers were prohibiting students to use AI to, submit their papers and do their presentations, except me, who I not only didn't prohibit it, but I made it mandatory to use AI. And the reason I did that is because many people are very in the know when it comes to what it can do, and they heard things, but not a lot of people had actually used it, right? And prompt engineering, the ability to generate the right prompts and to communicate with AI, is a skill that is more important than what I'm teaching,
right? So answering your question, how can we prepare designers for AI is, first of all, read and consume a lot of content on prompt quality. There's a lot of great designers out there showing great prompts they're using to do their work. Learn from them and try it, really try it. Every day, sometimes even when I don't use AI to do some task, I will actually use it, not because I want the result, but I want to see what are the possibilities of this. And I'm always stretching the possibilities. I use it for everything, then I don't apply it, right? But I test it with everything. And I think everyone should do it as well, because it's good to have your finger very, very, very deep into AI and see how it moves, how it evolves, so that you get a feel of what it can do. So when opportunities arise, you're ready to use it, right? And you know how to use it. So this is a recommendation for everybody. Everybody get into whatever tool you want. And there's so many great tools like Wizard.io or the one, what was the one that we saw a few months ago that you put the URL for a web page and it gives you the whole, I'll pass to written. My point is use it even though you're not going to apply it, to always get a sense of what it is and what it can do for you in the future. Now written.
Well, yeah, there are plenty of AI tools now, but the one that you mentioned, so basically what it does is you just send your design to it and it just creates HTML code for you. But again, see, that's not the point. The whole point is get your hands wet in AI. Every designer has asked me this question, like, written, am I going to run out of job because AI is going to take over my UI skills or my UX research skills? This happens all the time, right? Yeah, so I would highly recommend better to be ahead of the curve by using AI as your companion. So use it to support your process. So if you have some question, instead of going Googling, just use your AI. It's nothing wrong with it. Absolutely only benefit you. You're going to increase your productivity, your results, rather than just waiting and asking your friends. Use AI as your partner in crime, right? Just get it as a tool, exactly. And when AI becomes ultra smart, then you become the slave. No, I'm just joking.
ก็คิดว่า AI น่าจะเป็นเครื่องมือหลักให้กับทีม research นะครับอย่างเช่นเราอัปโหลดไฟล์ PDF ไปเข้าไปอย่างเงี้ยในงาน research อ่ะที่มีเป็นพันๆหน้าอะไรอย่างเงี้ยครับ AI ตัวนี้สามารถ generate ภายใน1 นาทีหรือ5 นาทีมันเซฟเวลาเราไปแบบโอ้แทบจะเซฟไป1 เดือนเลยมั้งที่เราต้องมานั่ง analyze เองเนี่ยครับคิดว่า AI ไม่น่าจะเข้ามาทดแทน researcher อย่างเราได้เพราะว่าคิดว่า AI น่าจะค่อยๆวิเคราะห์ทีละแกนอย่างเช่นโอเควิเคราะห์งาน research แต่เขาว่าไม่สามารถวิเคราะห์วิดีโอที่เราสัมผัสถึง emotional ต่างๆนานาที่เราเห็นความรู้สึกจากนึกออกไหมจากคนจริงๆที่เราอยู่สัมภาษณ์ตรงๆเนี่ยครับเสริมไหมพอแล้วพอแล้ว Okay actually we take more 5 minutes or 1 hour more no. Okay one more question or few more okay ครับ
There's something I tried the other day that was very cool, but it doesn't work with Thai. So I got the transcripts for more than 200 interviews. 200 interviews. So it would take me 30 billion years to read half of it, because I read very slow and a transcript is very hard to read. And I upload it to ChatGPT-4, and then I ask questions based on what he has written. And it took me like 5 minutes, so it takes a little bit to upload because it was a lot of text. And then I just asked question, how many of these were happy with that? You know, how many of these said this or something similar, right? So that's the latest use case I've used for. That was super cool because it would have taken me a lot of interns' lives wasted doing that work, right? So I usually needed like 10 interns to do that work in 1 week, and now I can do it alone in 10 minutes. So, do you want more use cases? Or?
Actually, I want to add one more thing for the ChatGPT, right? Anyone using ChatGPT 4? 100% every day? No? It should be yes. You should be using it every day. Now, one thing, I can give you a small tip. So if you're doing design system, right? And when you're working with multiple components, in ChatGPT on the left side, you see the panels of all the questions you asked it, right? Make each item one component. And you feed him information every time you make a change. Oh, today we did this. Next day we did this. What's happening is you're evolving your ChatGPT to follow you. Because if you start a new item, you give him information, he doesn't know what you did in the previously. Every item is separate. So create items per component and feed him information. Oh, today we found out that, hey, this button's not working. You communicate with him as a partner. Like, imagine I have a UI team members, right? I've involved them in every process, so they know what's happening, right? But same with AI. You cannot start a new chat every single time you have a question. Feed him, feed him, feed him. That's how it works, yeah? Information, yeah.
โอเคก็วันนี้ก็ขอบคุณทุกท่านมากๆเลยนะครับที่เข้ามาฟังนะครับก็เดี๋ยวหลังจากเซสชันนี้เนาะก็อาจจะมีเซอร์เวย์ไปให้ทำเล็กๆน้อยๆนะครับว่าบรรยากาศเป็นยังไงเซสชันเป็นยังไงแล้วก็อยากรู้เรื่องอะไรต่ออย่างเงี้ยนะครับเพราะว่าตะกี้ Reading ก็โฆษณาไปเล็กๆนะครับว่า Design System อาจจะต้องการ How many hours for Design System and Research นะครับแล้วก็ยังมี UX Writer เนาะแล้วก็มี UX UI ซึ่งหลายทฤษฎีของเราเนี่ยก็คือค่อนข้างเป็น T shape เนาะก็คือไม่ใช่แค่basic อะไรพวกนี้ครับแต่ว่าเราจะลงลึกไปเกี่ยว UI อย่างเช่น UX เนี่ยเราก็จะเจาะลึกอย่างเช่น UX strategy architecture ต่างๆนานา UI เราก็จะเป็นเรื่องของ interaction motion design system and many more นะครับแล้วก็ทางของ writer เนี่ยก็จะเป็นเรื่องของ tone of voice หรือว่าจิตวิทยาอะไรต่างๆนานาอย่างเงี้ยนะครับก็เดี๋ยวจะมี survey ตามไปแล้วกันนะครับวันนี้ขอบคุณมากๆนะครับแต่ว่าเดี๋ยวเรามีอีกหนึ่ง activity นะครับก็คือถ่ายรูปให้ทุกคนนั่งอยู่อย่างนี้แล้วครับดีแล้วครับเดี๋ยวช่างภาพจะยืนบนโต๊ะตรงนี้นะครับ and everyone take a photo here okay don't move too much who's gonna be ไลฟ์จบแล้วใช่ไหมokay thank you for the people at home thank you so much bye bye